Okay, so this is the final lecture of the week. You'll see that this week I taught actually a lot. We're going on 3 or 4 hours, I think, by now, right? We're on our 5th essay. Your task this week is to use the template and write an essay. So you're going to have to respond to these lectures with your questions, and I will give you feedback. You need to download, cut and paste the template onto a Word document and fill it out according to the directions of the prompt. You need to take your quizzes, but really the only thing you've got this week is to study and to write an essay. So the final thing in the SOAP packet, which I did figure out a way to give you guys the PDF, but I'm also going to make sure that you have your assignment prompt, is to write the essay. So this video is simply going over the essay, and then from there you guys will post your questions and I'll teach. So you'll notice it looks like this, and in this little bubble up here it says throw nothing away, keep all of your drafts, come to class with a clean draft every class. So that doesn't really apply to us, but next week will be the first 2 or 3 drafts, and the week after that will be the next 2 or 3 drafts. After tonight, I'm done teaching essay, believe it or not, and next I'm going to be teaching drafting, how to edit strategically, know what you're fixing, know what you're changing, and most importantly, knowing why, right? We don't change anything without a rule. And so that's what the next lectures are about. You're going to be writing an essay, tearing it up, writing an essay, tearing it up, the same exact essay, and each draft is 20 points, okay? So that's what we're headed toward. There's a lot of faith and trust going into this, so here we go. Nothing like a first assignment. Your paper deserves a creative and unique title. We talked about that. In parentheses, you're going to see question. That's the kind of grabber I'm using. You're going to have to identify the kind of grabber you're using. Question, fact, statistic, statement, humor, sarcasm, drama, dialogue, opinion, analogy, quote, and anecdote. That's by memory. You need to memorize it too. Once I have an audience, I pick my grabber, and I want you to identify the kind of grabber you're using in parentheses before your opening line. Do you want to know what your first assignment is? And of course, this is if we were in person. Please bring a typed double-spaced draft to class, blank, based upon the following question. How or why does being an educated part of one society matter? If so, how or why, in a family, in a neighborhood, in a community, in a country, or globally? Now look, guys, I am not just asking about formal education. Once you define society, any group of people that has something in common, and you define education, anyone who owns or knows a certain kind of knowledge, we can talk about how knowledge is important, how being an educated member of a society matters in any context. A surfer needs to know their equipment, their ocean, and their body, okay? A dancer needs to know the steps to the music or to the move, have an ear for the rhythm, and be able to trust their partner. A driver should know their machine, know the rules of the road, and know defensive and offensive driving, the differences between them. Now, if we talk about formal education, an educated society, let's say for the purpose of voting, a voting population should have knowledge about who the candidates are, what the issues on the ballot are, and how to find a polling place. That matters too. What about in a family? Obtaining a college degree is good for a family because it increases your education, your income, it increases your lifestyle, and it gives you financial security for the future, right? There's so many ways to answer this. I'm asking, does a person within any kind of society need to know something? And if so, what? And that's what you're answering, okay? Your response is answering the question through the use of provable points, which are supported, shown, or explained from quoted material. So I'm going to, I lied. I probably will post one more lecture toward the end of the week about quotation and citation, actually. Good point. So I'll also include those documents with these lectures too, so that you can look at them. You need quotes from 9 different sources. 5 can be different kinds. Interview, news article, web blog, book, flyer, newspaper, magazine, journal, database. And let's face it, if I'm going to argue that education leads to a good job and lifestyle, then I might quote what the cost of an airplane ticket to Rome is. And then I'm going to make the argument in my commentary that you can't afford a first class ticket to Rome unless you've got money, and you can't have money without a good job. And without a good job, that's dependent on a college education, right? I can make that argument. This is a perspective piece. Some of you will choose to take a more global view. Others will choose something closer to home. Topic works either way. I want proper MLA format on the one that you turn in. And you're not going to turn stuff in for a while now, because we're going to be drafting and there's going to be a lot of discussion boards happening. I think this is due week 6. So we're only on week 4. So for 2 weeks, we're going to be writing this essay, editing. But I'm going to know if you don't have your first draft, because you're going to send me your first draft and you're going to send me your final draft. And I should be able to see a huge difference between the two. You're going to be wowed in these next 2 weeks. You need to have introduction, conclusion, strategy, title, reference, grabber, echo. Type of grabber you use has to be identified in parentheses before the opening paragraph. Framework within your introduction sets up the context of the conversation, tells the reader why the topic's important, interesting, relevant, defines terms, society, and education. Your thesis should clearly state with provable reasons the ideas that answer the question. Your thesis must be underlined so that I know you know what the thesis is. And for purposes of clarity, this is a single sentence at the end of your introduction paragraph. Each support paragraph should start with a topic sentence that relates to and supports your thesis. I want that topic sentences in italics. Each support paragraph should have specific detail and support in the form of example, explanation, data, dates, and quotes with sources. Don't forget your rule number 5, right? Comma rule number 5, subject, verb, comma, quote. And on the quiz, a lot of you miss this. If the author isn't that subject, then you put the last name of the author in those parentheses. Each support paragraph should have specific detail. And let's see, while you could write a book about the answer to this question, it's a 5-paragraph essay only, so word choice matters. Say what you need to say clearly, stay to the point, and remember why you are writing. I do not care the topic. What I am looking at right now is your essay structure, your use of the template, your sentence correctness, your comma rules and clarity, and your ability to quote and cite. Please pay attention to your rhetorical moves between sentences, transitions. There must be at least 3 bolded transitions in each paragraph. This includes transitions between both paragraph and sentences, one word, and also transitional phrases. The essay has to be turned in with all of its drafts. We're going to do it a little bit differently because we're online. And each draft is worth 20 points, as I said. So to get the full 100, you're going to have to do all the draft work in between. So the first 20 points is turning in your first draft at the end of this week. Your last 20 points is turning in the final draft at the end of week 6. And in between now and then, you're going to have 5 more drafts where I teach you editing strategies working off of the essay that you wrote. So with the supported documents is going to be this prompt. It's also in the PDF of the SOAP packet and the 5 Principles of Academic Writing packet. Stay tuned. It's going to be a fun week. That's all I've got. You're going to want to rewatch these videos over and over and over again until you're very solid. Make sure you text me with questions, but most importantly, post them on your discussion board, because that is your first assignment this week, to post these questions on the discussion board by Wednesday so that I can help you get your first draft done. Talk to you soon.